Klaus Kenneth dat jullie introduceren. Ik heb het eerst ontmoet. No, I'll switch to English because you're going to speak to English. So I'm going to introduce Klaus Kenneth to you guys. Very welcome, Klaus. I'm going to share your comment, which is a good opener. He stood here and he saw the mirrors and he says, well, it looks like we have a double attendance seat, like 50 people sitting here and 50 over there, thanks to the mirrors. I'm going to read this introduction of his life, who he is. This is a nutshell, obviously, in Dutch. I was one of the editors of his book, Geboren in Haat, Herboren in Liefde.
Maxim?
Yes.
He's guilty. He's guilty.
He's the publisher of de uitgeverij Dus de boeken zijn te koop. Kijk er straks naar. Het zijn zeer interessante boeken, zeker als jullie straks horen wat Klaus te vertellen heeft. Please look into the books, especially after you hear Klaus's testimony. It's going to be more than interesting. Klaus Kenneth werd geboren te Tsjechoslowakije. So it was called Czechoslovakia in that time, in 1945, in 1945. Op het moment dat het Rode Leger het Derde Rijk verwoestte. Zijn kinderjaren zijn gekenmerkt door mishandeling en verlating door zijn ouders. Op jonge leeftijd ondergaat hij seksueel misbruik door een katholieke priester, wat tot gevolg had dat hij zich fel van het christendom afkeerde. In zijn puberjaren vertoonde hij sociaal en anarchistisch gedrag, asociaal en anarchistisch gedrag, dat dikwijls leidde tot rechtszaken en gevangenisstraf. Hij hing rond met de jeugdbendes in heel Duitsland en had een wild nachtleven, muziek maken in een burgerclub. Na zijn schoolopleiding studeerde hij aan de Universiteit van Tübingen of Tübingen? Tübingen, is dat niet Tübingen? Maar Tübingen, maar al gauw verliet hij zijn studies vertoevend in de drugswereld van de jaren 70. Hij doolde door de Oosterse wereld, beginnend met yoga, om naar de waarheid te zoeken en vooral om macht over andere mensen die hij haat te krijgen. Hij maakte kennis met islam, hindoeïsme, boeddhisme, verdiepte zich in hun leer. Aangezien hij uiteindelijk in geen van hen de oplossing voor zijn problemen vond, wierp hij de misstanden af en ook de muziek kan zijn dorst naar de zin van het leven niet lessen. Vervolgens probeerde hij de occulte en magische wereld van Zuid-Amerika uit. Dat beëindigd werd nadat zijn leven in Colombia gevaar liep en hij oog in oog met de dood stond. In 1981, op 36-jarige leeftijd, keerde hij weer naar Europa terug, waar hij zijn studie afmaakte en aangesteld werd als docent op de middelbare school. Langzamerhand keerde hij tot het christendom. In 1943 leerde hij vader Srpska onderin midden kennen die hem begeleidde in zijn geestelijke ontwikkeling. In 1986 liet hij zich orthodox dopen, vervolgens zijn leven het woord van Christus te betuigen. Hij kreeg de zegen, vertaalde het boek Zijn leven, Mijn leven van Sint-Symfronius in het Duits en vele werken van andere kerkvaders. Hij reisde over heel de wereld om het verhaal van zijn leven te vertellen, zo ook vandaag. Sprak hij op tal conferenties en verscheen op radio-tv. In het jaar 2000 sticht hij een stichting Vasilis Solomon in Kenia en de stichting van de Heilige Sala in Servië. In Kenia gaat het om een weeshuis en in het andere geval ontfermt hij zich over gevluchte wezen uit de oorlog in Servië-Montenegro. In 2005 ging hij als docent met pensioen en sindsdien rustte hij niet het woord van God te verbreiden. Klaus, welcome. Are you going to stand there, sit here? What's the idea?
I walk around.
You walk around. Okay. Do we have a
You have to follow me in case.
I have to follow, no problem.
Can you all hear Klaus speaking?
Yeah, what about English? Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
You can self-review.
Okay.
Klaus, welcome. I give you the word. Please, go
Thank
ahead.
you. Yes, it's my pleasure to be here. It's the first time I speak to Dutch people, and I was surprised this morning. Surprised. Normally you have, when I go to church, 80% women, 20% men. It was opposite this morning. In prison you have 80% men and 20% women in prison. So it's the opposite in the churches. How comes? Where do you come from?
The prison.
Are you crazy? You come out of prison or what? It's crazy, yes. Really surprise for me. Lovely surprise. And I found another thing, young people. You know, I'm originally German, from Hamburg. And I see, you know, since 45 years I'm going around the world giving talks. And I see in many countries, in the United States, even in Russia, that Orthodox is going up and up and up. And in Germany, I don't know, nothing will happen. So in Holland, now you people here, in England, all over, I wonder, my books, I translated 10 books in German about the Jesus period. So nobody wants to buy this book, nobody sells it, it's just, so for me it's good news to be here with you and see young people thinking about life, thinking about philosophy of life, whatever, and that makes sense for me. And I don't find that in Germany. Same in Switzerland, it's very difficult. So I'm happy to be here, and God knows what will be the following. My story, in the end, is why, after all, why I am Orthodox? Why not Buddhist or something else? Why did I decide, or why it comes that I'm Orthodox? Because I found now Orthodoxy is a question of death and life, or love. Life and love is the same thing. For me, it's no different, life or love, it's the same. And I didn't have love because my father was divorced. I didn't have a father. You saw the picture, I think. He was a musician. And my mother was a very famous opera singer. She was very rich, and yes. But they didn't have love for me. His father was gone, so even today I don't know what it means to have a father. I never had a father. And a mother, anyway, no love. She confessed once to me that she wanted to kill me even. Maybe she was desperate because after the war, all the operas were bombed, there was no more job, whatever. So the question for me, where is love? Where is life? And I should have been killed the first time. I was born in May 45, just at the war. They still killed the Germans, shot them, family also. I survived the first time. Second time, I should die from hunger. There was nothing to eat anymore. And I have heard that about 20,000 kids have been dying from hunger. And I survived. So altogether about 25 times I should have been killed and dying. But seemingly I was unkillable. Whatever. God didn't want that. And the question was, where is life? Where is love? And I didn't have love, so I was revolting against the machine, against the system, against my parents. And I was being beaten. I've been beaten half dead sometimes. And but where is love? Where is God? Where is life? It's the same. Very deep inside. I had to prove that I'm somebody, and I made a gang. And we had wars in gangs. And blood was flowing already when I was 12 years old. Of course, I had problems with the school, with the police already. I had problems all the time. And I just was full of hatred. That's born to hate. But still inside was something, is there somewhere? Love, where? And so, as it was difficult with my mother, she gave me away to, I was baptized Catholic kid. So she gave me away to a Catholic priest. He said he will take care of me. And something funny happened. When my mother was ready to give me away. She went to church with me, and she was in front of icon, I don't know, Mother of God, and she said to Mother Mary, I cannot be your mother anymore. I give you to the Mother of God. So my mother has become Catholic after the war, but I think in a routine way. I don't know. Till today, I don't know if she really had faith with it. But maybe subconsciously she did something right. I don't know. Because that will come back with the Mother of God, with Mary again. Okay, it was a Mother of God who answered her prayer, but this Catholic priest, of course, as usual, was homosexual. I moved to his house, and he had magic powers. He had a pendulum. He was asking me questions, and he was contacting spirits, not the Holy Spirit. So he broke my willpower. I was revolting against police. I was a very strong character, and he broke my willpower, and with these energies, and of course I ended up in his bed, and I was violated for 7 years, almost every night. So that was my Christian apprenticeship. And in these years, imagine I came out with 22 years. Now, young, how old are you?
22.
22, yes. Yeah. Look, they're old people. With 22 years, I was a robot. I was brainwashed. And I had learned just to hate Catholic Christians and to look where is that priest getting this energy, these powers from the spirits to kill the Christians. That was my aim. So, that was me, 22. And the priest found another boy, and I made it through to Abitur, as I say, the maturity, and I could go to university in Tübingen, where I met, you might have heard of famous gang, Baader-Meinhof gangs in Germany. They killed politicians since. Yeah, so I met these guys, and I was following them because they started to kill politicians and bankers and stuff. But I felt violence is not my style. Violence is not my way. I gave up after some time for 1 semester because Andreas Baader, he was recruiting also in the universities.
I found them very cool.
Me too in the beginning, but they're all dead now. And I was looking for what is the sense of life. So when I went to university, I was taking more drugs than courses in university. For 6 years, I've taken all sorts of drugs, and even there I should have been killed 2 times, overdose, and I found myself in hospital. They brought me back to life, and I found that, of course, it was promising. It was nice to quit in a spiritual world by drugs. Of course, it was interesting in the beginning. When I ended up all the time almost half dead, I found a better drug. First of all, I thought maybe in philosophy I can find. No, I had a girlfriend. Ursula, she's now an Orthodox sister. She's an Orthodox nun. Yes, that was in Hamburg. And she, I think, was the first person. She was a hippie girl, and I was DJ. I had a lot of money, a big American car, and but she told me, Klaus, I think you're the biggest pig I've ever seen, but you have the greatest heart. She saw a heart in me. I don't know where I had that. So I drew her to suicide because she loved me, and she loves me still today. She survived because, anyway. So I didn't understand anything about love. For me, it was sex. I had a rock and roll band, so sex my everyday life even. But I felt lonely with all that. And she said, come do a psychoanalysis, go to the therapy, maybe you find something. And so I went to the therapist for about, I think, 2 semesters. And I found that psychology is not bad, but it's limited, let's say. They explained and explained. I didn't want explanation. I wanted love, I don't know. And I said to the therapist, fuck you. So, I didn't want explanation. I gave up. I said, you will not help me. And she suggested Ursula. I said, Ursula, if you go to Essex one day to the monastery of Father Zafroni, she is sister there, Sister Johanna. So Ursula said, let's try maybe she herself also, in philosophy. Maybe you find an answer in philosophy. So we went to university. We were writing books, reading books, and in the end, in philosophy, it's like a religion almost. Philosophy, first of all, Nietzsche. Nietzsche, main word would say, God is dead. And I thought Nietzsche is right, of course. God is dead. Later I was asking myself, how come that Nietzsche had this idea? Because he observed also the Catholic priest. He observed the Vatican. They were one of the politicians and mingled not in taking care of people's souls, but in politics more. And I think even Lenin said, if the Catholics had 1 or 2 more St. Francis of Assisi, communists would never come, but they were politicians instead of taking care of people's souls. So that's why I think Nietzsche said God is dead, and I think he was right. And I remember, it's a very famous thing, you have this sign, God is dead, in brackets underneath Nietzsche. And somebody just, I saw that once, was just crossing it out, and it was right, Nietzsche is dead, in brackets God. So I said, okay, if that's the end of philosophy, that you die anyway. Well, he was talking about fear of death. So this cannot be, and another one I like was Sartre, French philosopher Sartre. And Sartre says also, like, the hell are the others. You are the hell. I'm not, I'm okay. The hell are the others. As Orthodox, I've learned the hell is in me and not in the others. You see, everything is in philosophy. I could not find an answer. And then, maybe in another religion. The world had no other offer. And in Hamburg, guest workers from Turkey, Muslims, nice people, good food. So, well, so we were very up with these Turkish friends. I said, maybe Islam has a possibility to give me an answer to where is God? Where is love? Okay, the people I met in Hamburg, they were nice people, but let me see how is it in the country. So I started traveling to Morocco, to Turkey, to Persia, Iran now, and to Afghanistan, to Pakistan. Then I started to travel, and my life as a student changed. I was not interested to make a teacher, high school teacher. I wanted to study, but I said, I don't even know why I live for. So what is money? I had money when I was DJ, and it cannot be the sense of life. So let me first of all find out why I'm living, and then especially I would say in Afghanistan and in Pakistan, I found on one hand nice people, on the other hand a lot of fanatism also. But we have Christian fanatism, we have Orthodox fanatism. So this is, I think it's a human attitude. So I said, look at people, doesn't make sense. Who is good? I mean, nobody's perfect except you and me, but I'm not sure about you. Joke, of course. So let me look at the scripture. then I go into the Quran. And I found in the whole Quran is not a single time the word love. Not a single time. In the Bible it's more 600 times the word love. And I found it's a book of legalism, of law. And if you break the law, you will be punished. I saw in Afghanistan when they stoned people. I mean, the Jews did the same. You know, in the New Testament, when Jesus came, one of you without sin throw the first stone. So they still do that. And I said, I know that I'm a sinner. First of all, what is a sinner? What is a sinner? For me, the question was, of course, I was taking drugs, I was having conflict with the police, I was stealing in supermarkets, I was cheating with people, but that's not sin. Today I see sin is something different. Sin is a crime against love. It's a crime against love. You break the law against love. That's sin. It's not a moral thing, as the Catholics were trying to teach me. It's not. I would say today, as an Orthodox, sin is, I think everybody is created in the image and likeness of God. That means image is not a gorilla. We have the image, and likeness is love. So we created, every newborn is created for love. So it's a way, it's the street to love. And if we go off that road by self-love, that's sin. So that's why sin is a crime against love. So I knew, of course, I will be punished in Islam. And I said, I was punished with my father, I was punished with my mother, I'm punished with the priest. I don't want to be punished by Allah. Where is Allah? In the end, you ask Muslim, where is Allah? There's no access to him. He's behind Jupiter, behind the moon. And his prophet, Muhammad, he's the opposite. He said, you have to do, you must, all the laws. And even then, they say, you're not sure if you make it to paradise. In Christianity, it's still the opposite. In Christianity, we don't have to be at the end, in the beginning when we accept Christ. It's not in the end, it's the beginning that we are saved already. When we accept Christ, we are saved. And not after a life of toiling and toiling and toiling. So it's very different also. All these said, no, this is not for me. And of course, from Pakistan, I went on to India, and for the next 7 years, I'm very slow. It took me 7 years to go very deep in Hinduism, to see what Hinduism is offering. And in the end, offering to the Hindu gods, I got what I was looking for. Power, spiritual power over people. I lived in Calcutta. I was a guru myself. And I could see when I had contact by meditation, yoga and other meditations, I have contact to spirits, they give me power over people. And when I came back to discotheques in Sweden, in Spain, in Western Europe, I could start to play with people by looking in their eyes, and nobody could. Christians could resist me, but I never found Christians in Western Europe. They all were maybe Catholics or Protestants, but they were not really following, they didn't have Christ in their heart. So it was easy game for me. I could look in their eyes, and I knew it was so easy to play with them. And that was what I was looking for. Because I was scared. You know, imagine, I was complex because everybody rejected me as a boy, as a kid. So I was afraid of death, I was afraid of the people. So logically, I wanted to have that power to defend myself. At the same time, to destroy the others, because that's what they have done with me. So I had that point of reach, but there was still no love. And then again, I saw these energies in elephant gods, in monkey gods, in whatever. It's very deep. It's not superficial when you go, because the people, the Hindus also don't look, where is God? Everybody has the same question, because they are also created in the image and likeness of God, Chinese and Hindu and other people. So they go very deep, but nothing personal. There was everything was impersonal. There was no contact possible with energies, yes, but not with any beings. And then again, reading the Hindu scriptures, there are several Hindu scriptures, but the main is the Bhagavad Gita, with the God Krishna. And again, two questions came after 7 years. Krishna said, I've come to destroy the sinners. And that was a hammer on my head again. Did Christ come to destroy the sinners?
No.
Do you think Jesus came to destroy the sinners? He came to save the sinners. And this guy says, I come to destroy the sinners. That was a big problem when I read that sentence in the Bhagavad Gita. The second question I really had problem was the reincarnation. Of course, it's nice to think when you have a beautiful house, you have a big Rolls Royce or Mercedes, I will be reborn. But in India, when you live in Calcutta and you see the poverty people, it's a condemnation to be reborn. It's not so nice anymore. Western people, they don't understand Hinduism really. And they say, if you cannot purify yourself, because everybody feels we are sinners, everybody wants to be purified, of course, Hindus also. So if you can make it in this life, because it's difficult, give you a next chance in the next life, in the reincarnation. You would be incarnated and do it in the next life. And if you can do it in the next life, so the official number of reincarnation is 8,400,000 times. I can tell you, this is not very promising. My legs are paining, lumbago, I lose my teeth. It's not a nice thing to be reborn every time with sickness. But then they tell you, you are saved automatically. So I don't have to do anything. It comes automatic. And then I thought, okay, if you are saved automatically, St. Paul, you have the icon St. Peter and St. Paul. Then you have Saint Hitler and Saint Stalin. It's no more difference, hey, oh. And I think that's legalized injustice. It doesn't make sense. Hitler is not a saint, Stalin is not a saint, by automatism. And I had big doubts about Hinduism. And by God's grace, I met in Calcutta, of a very funny way, Mother Teresa. I've heard of her because she got in 1978 or something, she got the Nobel Prize of Peace, I think. So I knew, but she was a Christian, I was not interested. But one day, I was in the Kali temple, Kali Kut, Calcutta. Kali is the goddess, I think it's the most black, most absurd goddess. She's killing even the Hindu gods. Everybody's scared. She cuts the head, and we have maybe some, doesn't matter, photos. And she was my favorite, of course. And it's the only temple in Calcutta where they give blood sacrifices. So I was very often the morning sitting on the marmor block where they had killed the animals, and I was sitting there cross-legged in meditation, and I quit my body. I could get out of my body, astral trips. And I got these energies to be a medium, to quit my body, to read the thoughts of people. That's how I could have power over people. And when I left in that morning, my body, I was in this world. I came back and I knew there's no human being which will resist me anymore. So I'm not afraid anymore of humans. When I was in America, I met George McGovern, for example. He was with Nixon, you know, this Watergate scandal. He was the opposite of Nixon. And when I met George McGovern, he fell on his knees before me. It is filmed even. So see, I knew that I was not afraid of people anymore, but I was afraid of death. That's what you said before. The fear of death was still there. So the last enemy, when I came back in my body, I said, I must kill death. Then I'm really master, complete master. Where can I find death? The only idea came to my mind is, I have heard that Mother Teresa has the house for dying in Calcutta. And when the people die, it's amazing because it's almost the same building, the Kali temple, and you go out of the door, and just next door is one of the, there's many, but that was this house of dying. And I said, if I go there and somebody is dying, physically dying, so this energy, spiritual energy must be there to stop his heart, and then I will attack death. I remember when I entered the door, I had the door, I don't know, the handle in my hand. I had this idea, in case death is stronger than you, Klaus, are you ready to die? Maybe I will die. Isn't that the question for everybody? Are we ready to die for Christ? Are we ready to die really? So I didn't think of that. Now I can say that, but at that time, am I ready to die? I didn't have any alternative. I have been so far, I must take the fight with death. I entered, and I was so surprised. There were people, of course, but in that room, it was so peaceful. Huh? You could touch the peace with your fingers almost, it was palpable. What is that? I forgot death all of a sudden. And I asked one of these guys who was working there, maybe Mother Teresa is a guru, maybe she can give me some new idea or something. Where is she? Completely forgotten about death because of that peace over there. She left, she's working somewhere in the streets. Where can I find her? I don't know if she's coming back here today, but you can meet her tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, in Lower Circular Road, number 35. It wasn't very far where I lived in Calcutta. She's every morning there. Okay, so I felt I must do that. So 5 o'clock to get up out of bed, 5 in the morning, that means 4:30 because I was there 5 o'clock. And I thought Mother Teresa is sitting on an altar like the gurus. Everybody bows down to her, or the famous Mother Teresa, or you're my favorite disciple, you're my disciple number 2, you know, like the gurus I had used to. And I came in that room, and there were 100 sisters praying. And there was an altar. And the priest came, started to liturgy for a Catholic Mass. I said, well, where's Mother Teresa? Nothing of that. I was frustrated. Okay, but I didn't feel so much because they were Catholics, so I went to the back door and was waiting. I said, okay, let me wait till they finish with their stuff, and then we'll ask her, where is she? Who is she? I didn't know what she looks like. And then came these elderly sisters standing next to me. And she thought, I'm a tourist. You want to pray? You gave me a book. And when I got that book, I saw something about love in that book, words about love. And I started crying. When I have been beaten half to death as a kid, I swore to myself, I will never pray, I will never cry in my life. Because when I cry, the adults had victory over me. So I've learned not to cry anymore. And here I stood and was crying. And I don't know what happened with me. When the priest, about 45 minutes, it was, by the way, a Dutch priest, it was from Holland, later. I gave the book back to that lady. I couldn't speak because I've been crying, you know, when you cry, you cannot speak anymore. I went back home. I said, Klaus, what's happening with you here? I don't know. Okay, I went home. At home I was meditating. Klaus, you cry? No, you're stronger, you're stronger, you're stronger. I go next morning, not 5 but 4:30. I try to get there before they start praying. I was 4:30 next day, I was there again. Oh shit, they were still praying already. I don't know when they got up. And okay, back door, next door, back door me. The old lady came, gave me the book. Achtung, Achtung, I'm not going to try to cry again today. I was meditating. She gave me the book, I read something about love, and I started crying a second time. No way to stop. I gave her the book at the end of 90 minutes and went back home. Come on. Third day, I was there 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock. And they were there praying already. I don't know when they got up, really. I stood in the backside. The lady came, gave me a book, and I started crying the third day. I couldn't stop that. And that third day, when I wanted to give the book back to the lady, she didn't take the book, but she grabbed my arms and looked in my eyes. That was her. And in this moment, I knew that has been the last 3 days her. But she didn't say anything. I didn't know that it was her. And then she looked at me and said, what's your name and so on. What are you doing in Calcutta? She saw me crying for 3 days, so she knew I'm not a curious tourist or a reporter, because she was famous. She saw that this guy has a problem. I said, I'm searching the truth. And she laughed. She said, Klaus, you cannot find the truth in Calcutta or in Amsterdam or in Tokyo. She, on my heart, she said, Klaus, you can find the truth in your heart. I said, what do you mean? What is the truth? What is the truth? She just grabbed me, kissed me and said, Klaus, wrong question number 2. What is the truth? The real question is, who is the truth, not what? I said, what do you mean, who? The person. I said, no, it's not. How you know? Yes, it's Jesus Christ. I said, stop with Jesus Christ. It's not for me. And I found this lady had love. She really had love. So I thought she's Hindu, but she hadn't realized it yet. So I tried to convert her in the first few days when we had really hot discussion. I tried to convert her to Hinduism, but it didn't work. And she, after some time, said, Klaus, you see, if you don't like Jesus Christ, okay, because I was a man, I was violated by a man. Try with the Mother of God, and here comes the Mother of God again. He said, Klaus, if you suffer all the time in your life, and suffered, of course, loneliness and no love, try with the Mother of God. She will intercede for you. She will pray for you to her Son. And it was because in the discussion for I think 3 or 5 weeks, every morning we met, and Hinduism broke to pieces. I thought that Hinduism was a human philosophy, again, of law, to follow the law and the law and the law, not the love. And so she said, Klaus, I was ready to go to Tibet, to Buddhism. She took my hand and said, Klaus, if you suffer again, open your hand. You will see M, the M of Maria, or Mother of God. M is in every human hand is an M. And you will just think that Mother of God will protect you. I show you the M. See that? That. Every human hand is an M. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. You see? Every hand has an M. It's by chance. It's not very reading, but it's funny. It's a little like the Srpska Komboskini with the M in the hand, isn't it? And so I didn't do it. But now I remember my mother had given me to Mother of God, and later Father Sophroni said also, the 25 times you should be killed, Mother of God saved you. I mean, they know it better than me. I have to believe that. So who is this Mother of God? Anyway, you see, that was the second meeting. And so I went to Tibet. I found, if you don't see Urem, I'll show you afterwards. And in Tibet, it was exotic, it was beautiful, of course. And I visited the monasteries up to 5,000 meters in the mountains, in the Himalayas. But the food was bad and the weather was cold. So to live there, I think you must be born there. So after some weeks, I got the address of, they say, the biggest, greatest living Buddhist master of all Asia. He has reached Nirvana. Ajahn Chah was his name, Ajahn Chah, in the jungle, somewhere in the really deep jungle in the Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, there in the jungles. So I went there, that was me in the photo when I would come monk there. And then I think now we come really close to Orthodoxy even. Because Buddha, first of all, he was historically, he was a man living, so somehow there was another contact like with the elephants or with Mohammed, who was a killer. Mohammed was a killer in the end, he killed everybody. I think sometimes Allah, well, Christ, our Father, gave his son to die for us. And Mohammed kills all your children. When you have a mother, he kills your children. Everything is just opposite in Islam. So, I entered this monastery, and the promise of nirvana for me was something, do I find God or love there? In the end. It's the last great world religion. And the idea was, of course, very deep. Buddha was, I think, today I think maybe Buddha is probably in paradise. I think he wasn't a bad man. He was living 600 years before Christ. Like Lao Tse or Confucius, they all had, I don't know, at that time, a sensitivity for faith. I think they were very close to Orthodoxy already. Knowing where starts evil, why do the people kill each other? Why the sickness in the world? He asked the essential questions. And he said, everything starts with thoughts. Everything starts in the brain. And that's true. That's what our Orthodox fathers also say. We have that book here, wonderful book, which I recommend you to buy, of Tadei. Father Tadei says, one of the greatest, I don't know if the title,
Our thoughts determine our
yes,
lives.
Our happiness, our unhappiness is determined by our thoughts, not by Trump or Putin or Zelensky. Our happiness, our unhappiness is determined by our, it's a simple phrase. If you take that serious, you will never be unhappy. Isn't that crazy? We are all sometimes unhappy, except me, I'm not unhappy anymore, since I met Christ. But the point is, Buddha found it somehow, and he said then, thought control. So, by meditation. So we sat in the temple, 3 o'clock in the morning, and as soon as the thoughts come, we push them away. We had 3 different types of meditation. Walking meditation, because sometimes we had to put, 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day, when you fall asleep. It was in the jungle. No, 1 meal a day in the morning, 9 o'clock. So if you have problems with your weight, I give you the address, you can go there, you lose your weight. And so when you're tired, you put a glass and you do in a temple, walking meditation. You shave every 2 weeks with razor blade. We cut our hair and so. And one was mantra syllab Buddha, it's a sila, mantra meditation, to chase the thoughts, to think about that and not just the thoughts. So we sit there from 3 o'clock in the morning, Wednesdays all the day, but normally from 3, Buddha, 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 Mercedes, no, Buddha, Buddha, Coca-Cola, Buddha, 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 you know. And to get emptiness. And the master said, if you manage 6 minutes not to think, you reach nirvana. Now you try for 5 seconds not to think. You try for 10 seconds not to think. Close your eyes, close your ears, close your mouth, close everything. The 5 senses, our 5 senses, are the doors of perception, of course. That's what links us to the world. So to close these 5 is very difficult. And then to change thoughts. Try it. You will see it doesn't work. It goes like, I think, like a lantern in summer with all the mosquitoes. Just runs in our head like that. 6 minutes not to think, you reach nirvana. Klaus, after 2.5 years, reached nirvana. It was for me. It was a question of. In the monasteries, you have like here, just go away, run away for 3 months or a year, and they go back. They're not serious. I think serious people, even in Christianity, this may be 5%, 95%. They're just it's a routine. I don't know. It's not serious for most of people. All religion is the same. It's only a few people. They really fight really very, very deep. So I saw the same there in the temple. But for me, it was, as I say, a question of life or death. After 2.5 years, when I reached that point, I saw demons. You have seen maybe Harry Potter films, I don't know, where you see how they make that in Hollywood. It's like that. It's really very real, I think, these films. With fog, like fog, came through the walls in we had in the jungle, everybody had a little house, a little cell, every monk, and the fog came through the walls. They made these horrible faces, and with my biological, not fantasy, they were really there. I thought I'd die from fear. It was so hot. That was devil. When we say do dragons exist? Yes, dragons do exist, not in the real physical world, but dragons do exist. All these horrible faces, I saw them, they came and visited me. That was emptiness. My emptiness was filled with demons. I don't know if Buddhism is demon. Buddhism for me, I think it's also 2,200 laws. Even where you have to piss, everything is regulated. Everything is regulated. So it's a kind of law and law and law. It's no more love. And today I think, my goodness, I don't need a law. I don't need a religion. The state tells me also, don't kill, don't steal. I don't need a religion for that. And it was the same. It was this legalism again, the law, to save myself. And here came these demons, and every time I had to stop. I could not promise. I had to quit the monastery. I went from there. I've been before already in America with the Indians, the local Indians, because I thought maybe they have a philosophy of life, of respect for nature. It was beautiful, but when I was there with them, they were racists, because I'm a white. So I was so disappointed. I said, where is your love? Where is your wisdom? If you despise me. I went to Mexico. I did for about 2 years an apprenticeship in witchcraft, in sorcery. I wanted to know, is there anything there? Nothing. Spirituality again, nothing. I went to South America. And in South America, I think my guardian angel went on strike. I think to protect Klaus is so difficult. Lord, God, do something. We burn our wings with him to save me. When you burn your hair, you know how it smells when you burn? It smells burned wings sometimes. I feel when they save me again. I think they said, God do something with Klaus, it is impossible to protect him. And as a God is a loving God, he said, okay, I'll take care of myself. I take care of Klaus. And as God is a loving God, he sent me on a pink cloud, sitting on a cloud and playing harp. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Now, God is very strange. He is very strange. He allowed that I was taken hostage in Colombia by the FARC, by the Revolution Army. When I tried to flee, they hit me. I was covered with blood. And I was taken to the camp of the revolutionaries by 10 o'clock in the night, hijacked with the bus. And I was taken to the place of execution. And there was a stick, there was blood around me already, and stood there, and then came 7 with Kalashnikovs in half circle around me, pointing towards me. Because I tried to flee, I was always covered with blood. And I was just waiting for the commander to give the sign. I saw the finger was already on the trigger, pointing towards me. And I counted over 1 second I had to live. 1 more second, and then I will be full of bullets. Now for my question is now, what is 1 second? What is time? What is time? And once somebody, I have it here, but I'll show you later, on a stick. There's a guy in, you know, the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, where the temple, now they want the Jews want to build the Solomon temple, you know, but there's the Golden Dome, and underneath where the Solomon's rest, there's the Wailing Wall. So the Jews are there and putting their little sticks, you know, and like this. And so there's this photo, somebody sent me this photo, that there's man, but he's with his phone on the Wailing Wall, and putting sticks inside. So somebody wrote underneath some lines. Very funny, I like that very much for time. I'm talking about time. So talking to God. By the way, do you know the number of God? His phone number? Come on, you're half Orthodox, you're Orthodox. You don't know his number? Seriously? 333. Look at that. I know I'm a teacher, I'm teaching something now. 333 is God's number. Look in the Old Testament with Jeremy, I think Tom and Jerry, Jeremy. Chapter 33, verse 3. 3 to 30. Jeremy 33, have a look. Call me when you are in need and I will answer you. That's God's number. Call me when you, and what is that? Call me when you're in need, I will answer you. That's his number. Okay, here comes the joke now. So that guy talks to God. God, can I ask you a question? Yes. What is 1 million years for you? 1 second. Okay. It was a Jew. God, can I ask you another question? What is $1 million for you? 1 cent. Okay. God, can you give me a cent? Wait a second. That's time. That's time. Now, in this second, I called God. In this the last second, because there's no time, of course, for God, 1 million years. I said, God, save me. Lord have mercy, Kyrie eleison, Gospodi pomiluj me. This is what I said. God save me. Very simple. And the miracle happened. The miracle happened. In this last, I would say, half second. And there's my joke now. Do you know how I want to survive? You know how I want to survive? You want to know or not? I was right. Okay, buy my book then. And my joke. Not serious, of course. Out of the bush came a group of people. It was night with some lanterns only. The guns went round. I saw people dropping, and the rest you can read in the book. I survived. In this moment, I knew God exists. That was not by chance anymore. But the question, where are you? Who are you? I didn't know. Where are you? Who are you? Jesus is, that's for sure. I was wrong one more time in Bolivia later. I was just so fed up with this killing, death. All the time meant death. I went back to Europe, and that was not Germany, it was Switzerland already. And then I met Ursula again. My first, we were married, my first wife. Just amazing. She converted. She has been living 2.5 years in the monastery with Buddha also. She became a Christian. Are you crazy? How do you do Christian? And she told me that she started by missionaries to do, instead of Buddha, she started to do the Jesus prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. And there was like explosion in her. And she found freedom. And she told me, I don't know where she turned up, from Switzerland, because she lived normally in London already. And I met other people, they talked me about Jesus and Jesus and Jesus. I said, let me in peace with that. I've suffered too much from that. But I mean, I've been married with her. She's not talking blah, blah, blah. Somehow she was touching me. So it was inside. And she sent me to other friends, to other people, and pastors, and priests, and missionaries, and you go on my nerves. I had my energy also. I was playing with young pastors sometimes. I looked in their eyes when they were only students or theologians and no Christ. I could play with them also. Very easy. I finished them. It was not easy to play with, to try anything with me which is not serious. And then they told me of one pastor, he's stronger than me, because the others I could play. He's stronger. I said, nobody is stronger than me. But this one, he said, is stronger. So, is there a photo? I don't know. Maurice Reid, the pastor? Maybe there is. Anyway, so he asked me a simple question. Otherwise, leave it, doesn't matter. He asked me a simple question. Klaus, what do you want? They told me about Jesus. I said, I don't know what about that. I don't want that, but if you want to be free, there's no other way. You tried yourself, all other religions, there's only Christianity which is left, and just Jesus can set you free. And I could not even pronounce the word Jesus, because I was so full of demons myself. Since India, since Calcutta, with Kali, was my master. She mastered me, yes. So she didn't want me to allow to say the word Jesus, to pronounce it verbally with my mouth. So she said, Klaus, you are possessed with demons. I can offer you an exorcism. It's not me, it's, of course, Jesus Christ is doing it. Then you can decide what you want. We will not force you. So I said to myself, an exorcism? I've tried all religions, I've not yet tested an exorcism. I get tickets also, I've done it, nothing, as usual. Why not? I've nothing to lose anymore. I did not know when it is really serious. You might have heard of that film, Exorcist. I knew about that film. Said, okay, one experience more, I will do it. It lasted 1 week. I was blowing up. In the end, I think even today, if we go before Easter, I mean, normally Orthodox go to confession. I think even the confession is a sort of exorcism. Because you have to give a part of yourself to the priest. You give a part of yourself, which is, you identify with life, with sexuality, alcohol, whatever it is. So it is a small exorcism, but it's just a big one, because it's part of me, and I have to give myself away. I cannot do it. It will break me. It was such a fight, I can tell you. The film is very true. I know about how I was suffocating. Even my mother was full of demons. She suffocated. I couldn't breathe in my presence of my mother sometimes, I remember. You see all that thing. So, after that, I could speak Jesus, and that comes the point which we said this morning, Christ is risen from the dead. Christus anesti, Christus voskresie. This is the real point now. Then I said, if I could speak the word Jesus, I asked her, how can I contact him? So you must pray. I said, I cannot pray. I've learned meditation. He said, pray is very simple. Remember that, please. Praying is very simple. Praying is say the truth. Don't recite prayers which you cannot identify with it. Now, in the books, there are wonderful prayers, the Orthodox morning, evening prayers. Of course, I know them now. But at that time, just say the truth. Don't say blah, 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 just to please anybody. Say the truth. And the truth said, Jesus, you are risen from the dead, then that means you are living. If you are living, I can talk to you. Let's make a test. What's your name?
Anna.
Anna, what's your name?
Krista.
They're not dead, huh? They can answer me. Otherwise, you couldn't answer. So my simple German question is, German logic question, if he's risen from the dead, then I can talk to him. Otherwise, he's dead. So I made a deal with him. I said, Jesus Christ, you speak to me. I want to be sure it's you, by the way, because I was medium. I knew voices from the beyond, from the Calcutta. You speak to me, and I will believe you. Otherwise, forget it. That was my condition. And the priest said, Christ will speak to you. I said, we'll see. There was this ecumenical meeting in the cathedral in Lausanne, Switzerland, and they took me in the cathedral, and that was the moment of communion. And then everybody is supposed to go to communion. Ecumenical, it was not Orthodox, Protestants and Catholics. So there was Ursula and a group of people that were praying for me. They said, now Klaus, exorcism, take the communion also. I said, you shut up, you don't decide if I go to communion, I decided myself. I asked myself, no answer, yes, no, I'm not a Christian. So I said, they told me it's the body and blood of Christ. If the body and blood of Christ, well, then I must ask him. He must decide. So I closed my eyes. I said, just simple, Jesus, you want me to come or not, Pastor? And he answered me, loud, as you hear my voice now, not thought, absolutely clear in my ear, yes, come, I have forgiven you everything. Down. That was such a hit, such a presence of love also. I couldn't have expected, of course. So strong, so love. In the same half second, a lightning and a thunder came down from the ceiling of the cathedral with a noise, with a whistling noise, always louder in my ear, and I was scared. I jumped up from my chair and like a two-handed sword cut me in two, and I ran out of the church. I said, I kill everybody. I have been tricked again. I was so scared to become a Christian because every time he was negative at the end, and here he was tricked again. I wanted to kill myself. 20 steps or 30 steps from the main cathedral door you can jump down from a wall. I ran there and wanted to kill myself. Halfway, another voice, hey, Klaus, are you unhappy? Are you unhappy? I was unhappy, I can tell you, I was about to kill myself. That was the 25th time I should die. Do what you have always done when you were unhappy. Do what you have always done. Turn around, look behind you. Everything loud voice. 3 young women. Now imagine, do what you have always done. Isn't that exactly an alcoholic? Drink and you will be happy. My drugs, take a drug and you will be happy. Pornography for many young people. you will be happy. You see, do what you have always done. Do what you have always done. That's how it works, Satan. And I did it. Look behind you. 3 young women passing there. I stopped. I couldn't go on. I looked at first in her eyes. That was, of course, victim. Not for sex. That was really power to destroy her. I looked in her eyes. And then because Christ was with me some moments before, so my mindset was changed already. Through her eyes, I could see what I saw before. The sin or the weakness of the other person. That's how I could anchor. Now, it's not so complicated. You will understand it. He's a confessor priest, you know. When you confess, when you lie, for example, you feel bad inside when you lie. When you are caught in a supermarket stealing, you feel very bad. And this feeling is where enemy cuts you when we do not confess it. That's why we have confession in Christianity. Not in Buddhism, not in Islam, not in nowhere. That's Christianity, really, the forgiveness. So great. Okay, so I saw that this girl was physically beautiful, like outside, but I saw she was unhappy inside. So then my mind, all of a sudden, instead of attacking, which I did before, because Christ was there already, I had pity. I said, Klaus, how can you find happiness with unhappy people? How can it be satisfied? She's not satisfaction. It's not logic. I dropped to the ground. I lost consciousness. It was black, and that was all. When I came back to myself, the pastor, Ursula, and the group, they saw happened to me. They brought me back. And they explained, Klaus, what happened was a counter-attack of Satan. He didn't want you to change sides. But you were praying, you want to be sure that it's Christ. So God allowed that after Christ, Satan could speak to you. God allowed that so that you can be sure. So in this moment I said, I don't want Satan anymore. I will beat him when he comes next time. I said, I put boxing gloves, that size. When we come, boom, boom, boom. The priest was laughing. I said, Klaus, you cannot beat Satan. He's older, he's faster, and stronger than you. Nobody can beat Satan. Nobody, never. Only once. He was beaten for 2,000 years in Golgotha. So he is beaten already. Why do you want to beat him? He is beaten. So when he took that's me, and that's when you are me. When you are in God's hand, Satan is beaten. When you are out, you are beaten. It's very simple. So he is beaten. It depends on you. You see, that's the Jesus prayer. That's the point. He's beaten or he's not beaten with all alcohol, nicotine, sexuality, whatever. So it's up to us. Our happiness or unhappiness. You go back to Orthodoxy. Depends on us and not on anything else. Now, this time, next time, the communion, we finish the first part and it comes further to front in Orthodoxy again. Then I knew Christ invited me for communion. I said, I'll go, but when I wanted to stand up, when the priest called for communion, I said, if the lightning comes down again, I will be dead. And I start to panic. And in this incredible fear, Jesus Christ came the second time and spoke loud voice. Don't be afraid. In my name, you will always be stronger. In my name, you will always be stronger. I said, this is a deal I accept. I always wanted to be the strongest man in the world. I always want to live without fear of death. And here comes the Christ and tells me himself, don't be afraid. In my name, you will always be stronger. Now, about fear, you were talking about fear this morning. Now, let me tell you something to take you back home tonight when you go home. Fear is always from the enemy, never from God. God is love. God will not make you fear. You have fear of exam, fear of accident, fear of sick, no matter. Fear is never from God. So that's the first thing. Second time, very important, fear is always in the future. It's not now. If you have cancer or your grandmother dies from cancer, it's not now. It's always, and 1 second when I was shot, even half a second, is future. So, next time you will have any fear, whatever it is in your life, remember that you are in the hands, in the fantasy of the enemy, and you left the now. Here comes the now again. I am. Moses heard from God. The being is now, it's not future. It's the realm of the demons in the future, when you leave the now. So come back from the future, come in the presence of Christ. Gospode Iisuse Christe, Sine Bože, pomiluj me, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God. I am afraid of pornography, I am afraid of alcohol, I am afraid of money, I am afraid of eating too much. Then you come in His presence, and then fear is soap bubbles, nothing else than a soap bubble. That's fake. He's copying God. The demons are copying God all the time. And you believe it, and you drown. And you don't believe it, and you live. This is very simple. It's not so complicated. And that's the message Christ gave me in this moment. Now, then I took the first time the communion, not Orthodox, but Father Sophroni later told me, when Christ called you Himself to take communion, so for you it was Orthodox. It was His body and blood in this moment, but later He knew I would become Orthodox. So in this moment it was a special somehow. So then after that, I knew, am I now Catholic? Am I Protestant? And then I met Father Sophroni, Saint Sophroni, in Lausanne again. I recommend you the other book, Saint Silouan from Mount Athos, which is his great oeuvre of Father Sophroni. And he was translating this book with a monk from Switzerland, Father Simeon. That's why he was in Lausanne. And he was crossing on his way to his office on a zebra crossing, and I almost smashed him with my car. Otherwise I would have killed him. That's how I met Orthodoxy, you see. And when I got out of the car and I saw his face, then I knew. You know, the gurus in India, they look similar. They have a beard, they are dressed very special, but they are masks. Now I could see. When I saw that face and the love in his eyes, I saw, this is what I've been looking all my life. That was not a guru. Sorry, but that was so powerful, that moment of meeting. And he said, if you want to come, come to my office. You see. You see, even today, when his presence is there. And that's something which is typical for me Orthodox. It's always something personal. It's not a system, no. It's not a religion. It's not a routine. It's not a culture. It's life, and life is always a personal meeting. The saints we have back there, you see. So when you meet them, you can meet them. They are not dead. They are not dead. This is the point. And this is what I wanted to tell you for the, I don't know if you catechumens or whatever, but that is for me what in Orthodoxy I found is life-giving. This is so, to see myself, my self-love, my egoism, to fight against it, to lose the fight and to restart again. And then all this I learned from him, from the very first days when we met. Humility. Other is so full of pride, so puffed up in Hinduism, in Buddhism. In Orthodoxy we have also, now I'm a bishop, now I'm a political, I'm very important, you know, all this is hidden egoism. We have that in the nature, in the human nature. And he had a model what Orthodoxy means. Love, humility, humor. My God, he told me to tell jokes in my talks sometimes. He said, Klaus, sometimes I do it myself. He said, when you tell jokes, the audience is in your pocket, he said. So, you see, I learned so much. And my first question, when I saw him, why are they so black? You know, the priests are always black. So, I said, why are you so black? I didn't know anything, you see. But normally, it's red and blue, you know, all different colors. People while they dress in fashion. And instead of giving me an answer, because Orthodoxy and Orthodox, no. This is the other point. Very, very important when you are Orthodox or you become Orthodox or you learn Orthodoxy. Orthodoxy is going down and not going up. The way down is the way up. So Father Sophroni came down on my level. When I asked him, why are you dressed in black? He would not give me a theological answer, because. He went to the window, he opened the curtain, underneath the window was a boulevard, and he said, Klaus, look at the cars attentively. Okay. Green Volkswagen, blue Fiat, yellow Opel, black Mercedes, you know, the different cars. He closed the curtain, he looked at me, Klaus, which car did you like most? I said, well, the most elegant car was the black Mercedes. And he said, that's why we are black, he said, you see. And that was my level, you see. And I started to think, he come down on me. Did not expect him to come up to him. And in the end, why did Jesus Christ incarnate? Christus was created. Why? Because we could not reach up there. Is God Allah? Is God an elephant? Is God Buddha? Is whatever, all the possibilities. Where is God? Where is God? And Jesus said, here I am, this is God. And then these stupid people crucified him. These stupid people. Instead of saying thank you, they crucified him because he showed them their egoism, their self-love, their rules, their moral. That's what the Catholics did with the moral teaching, you know, laws. I don't need a religion. Religion is reason for war since 20,000 years. In Israel, in Ukraine, is always religious wars. That's religion. When you understand Orthodoxy is not religion, that Orthodoxy is revelation. God revealed, that's the point. And that makes it, Father Sophroni was personal. He revealed Orthodoxy in his being. Christ, when he became human, you could touch him, you could meet him, that's why Vaistino was crazy. He's really risen from the dead, you see. You can meet him, and that's personal. And that's not the law, it's not a system, it's not religion, it's a revelation. And as long as people, or you or me, don't have a living Christ, we follow religion. Then the liturgy this morning becomes a routine, a tradition, you know, everything that's not living Christ. And when you meet Christ, and then you say, Gospodi pomiluj me, then you see, I can say, Gospodi pomiluj me only when I know that I'm a sinner. I need the pomiluj. I need the forgiveness, because I can't do it. I can't manage revolution. I cannot manage sexuality, pornography. I cannot manage alcohol. It's stronger than me. Then in the liturgy you say, Gospodi pomiluj me, Kyrie eleison, and then it becomes true and not just like a parrot, an answer. That's hypocrisy. So please don't do that. When you become Orthodox, that's all that he showed me. And I went to England, to Essex, to his monastery, and I want to become a monk. And he said, Klaus, no, you cannot become a monk. I said, why? Everybody clergy is nice, yes. God has another plan for you, Klaus, he said. You see, my style is different. It's more charismatic. No, I'm not a theologian. You're a theologian, of course. You study theology, whereas I study Christ. So it's the same in the end. It's not different, but my style is different. And some Orthodox people don't like me, of course, because they're saying he's not a studied theologian. And Father Sophroni told me once, Klaus, I warn you from these Orthodox people who have a bibliothèque in their brain and not a Christ in their heart. I warn you from these people. So for 10 years, he gave me, the most funny thing was, when I wanted to become Orthodox, he said, Klaus, no. What do you mean? Any catechumens of you? Who is a catechumen? So I warn you. Father Sophroni warned me for, when I went to Essex, he said, go back to Switzerland. Goes back to Switzerland. I said, why? Because the Protestants, you must convert today, you must convert today. Heute is the right day. They use Bible verses, It is now the moment. No. Because Orthodox is not in promenade. It's not a way which, in the Protestant way. Maybe one day you will regret. When it becomes really, when it's the fight against yourself, then you will hate Orthodoxy maybe. And I don't want to be responsible to have you invited. It must be your decision. Your decision. Not because of me. 3 years. After 3 years, Klaus, I think you really want it. And he was right, of course. Now I have to, of course, it's 45 years now with me that I'm Orthodox. So I know what fights mean. We all have these problems with alcohol, with sexuality. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about, isn't it? Even with my old age, it just never stops. And then you can see what Protestantism, how superficial it is. They use a Bible verse, but it's not personal. Whereas in Orthodox, the person. And he was, Father Sophroni was always the person, and never a system, a religion, or a law. He was always the person. Like Christ came down, Father Sophroni came down, and I learned now as Klaus, let's take yoga. Yoga is really the biggest shit, because it's Antichrist. And now it's, how fashionable it is now in the world, of course. Because it gives you peace. They say it gives you peace. I mean, I did it. When the priest came out this morning, peace be with you all, isn't it, this morning? It's not a piece of yoga, of course. Yoga is a fake peace. It gives you relaxation. You sit, you do the exercise. Of course, you forget about your problems for a certain moment. And it does relax. It does. It's not a piece of Christ, because yoga avoids the fight against your ego. And that's the trick of Satan. That's why yoga is so successful. No tears, no confession, no exorcism, no fight against yourself with fight. No, it's easy going into yoga and I will be saved, I will have peace. It's such a big lie of Satan. That's why it's so successful in the world, you see. It doesn't work like that, of course. And that's why it has... who wants to confess? People are proud in the world, in Holland, in Germany. And that's why yoga is so successful. No fight, no struggle. Just do yoga and you will be that wrong peace. So all these things, little by little, I understood in these 20, 30, 40 years. I'm going 3 times a year to Essex, to the monastery, of course. And every time I learned about this Jesus prayer, you see, and about forgiveness and about the self-discovery. Orthodoxy, this is the answer I give you. That's why I'm Orthodox today, because Buddhism and meditation and law and legalism of Islam. Isn't it wrong, Islam? The law, Jesus said, I'm not come to abolish the law. I mean, Islam in this sense with the law is not wrong. But it doesn't give you the peace, not the life, not the love, of course. It's just law. And the law, the state gives me also the law, don't steal or don't rob. So I don't need a church for that. I don't need religion for that, you see. But that's the real change, the fight against yourself. And that makes Orthodoxy so precious. And for example, I remember, maybe Sister Johanna, you cannot see it so far away, but I don't know from which year it is. She is normally there, yes. My first wife. My third wife, I have three. Muslims have four. I'm not yet there. My second wife left me, and my third wife and my first wife, they're always together in Essex. They love each other very much. That's been God's possible, of course. My wife now, Nikica, is from Montenegro. She's an angel. Dangerous to live with an angel. So when Father Sophroni, for example, when he came to the liturgy, and this is, we are all models, people always look at each other, we look at each other, you look at each other, people always have judgments, so we are all models if you want or not. So when I saw Father Sophroni coming into the liturgy in the morning, or whenever the liturgy was, I was sitting and I saw Father Sophroni, maybe it's a gift of sensibility, I saw he was 20 centimeters above, he was floating, he was not touching the ground anymore. He flew into the altar. And when he was celebrating liturgy, we represent the cherubim and the seraphim, you know. Let's not put down all the worries of this world. Everything we did this morning in the liturgy. When you saw that, and I said, do I represent the cherubim this morning in the liturgy? I said, let me practice, let me try. I had the model. What happens when you do that, when you take that seriously? I did Buddhist seriously, I did all of these things seriously, but no use. When I practice the liturgy, when people ask me, Klaus, you've been around the world, where is the best place in the world? I said, liturgy is the best place in the world. That's the place where I'm the most at home, because I learn how much I do not yet understand in the liturgy. Of course, the words, I know the words, but to become the words. And that's what I saw with Father Sophroni, when he floated to the liturgy, when he entered with the cup to the office of service. And every time when we were together, when he came to my room, Father Sophroni, he put his arm around me, and I felt I was like in heaven with him. And he knew that Klaus never had love. So I think while he was sitting with me, something like a big syringe, I think he was putting all his love in me to share it with you today. That's what he did, you see. And that's for the liturgy. When I remember, of course, it's unfair to compare with other people. Sometimes they do the liturgy in 45 minutes, very fast. Our Father in 10 seconds. So maybe they learn it later, some priests. There are corruption in the church. I said, no, that's not the point, of course. It's no use to criticize. It's useless, because it just destroys yourself in the end. The liturgy is still a liturgy. So just to learn to become part. Participate means to be part of the liturgy. And it's not so easy to follow like it's television up there, and I sit here, television liturgy. That's not liturgy. We must be part of it. That means when I say, let us lay down all the worries, the scare of this world, because when the angels come in, when the great entry and so on, and the Holy Spirit transforms bread and wine, these are moments, they're so unique that nobody in this whole planet, in all religion, doesn't exist. This is why I'm Orthodox, because I see it is life-giving. It shows me my weakness, and it gives me so much love anyway, at the same time, and understanding for others, not to judge anybody. This is Orthodoxy, and my goodness, one of the Father Sophroni had Father Kirill from Australian, I think Australian Cypriot. He was the abbot for him, and now he's too old. He's born in 1938, I think. He's too old. Now, Father Zacharias is to follow. Father Raphael from Romania were the great disciples. And Father Zacharias said once to me, I'm trying to be Orthodox since 54 years. I have not even begun. That is wisdom. That is wisdom. And I think, Klaus, I'm struggling since 45 years. I can say I have not even begun. And I know when I say that what it means. But it's wonderful. I don't see anything better. I mean, I tried it anyway. There's nothing better. And I'm looking forward. Christ, okay, it was a big grace because he spoke to me. It's not, let's say, not every day, but he's my friend. He's my friend, and that gives me all the energy. And Father Sophroni said exactly, as I'm not theologian, as I'm more charismatic, as you see me. So, as I say, Orthodox don't like that. Father Sophroni said, Klaus, because I'm invited sometimes by Catholics, very often by Protestants, even in Switzerland and Germany, all over. Protestants don't go to the Orthodox, they go to the Protestants so many times. The Orthodox don't know what they have, because it has tradition, culture, but it's not the living Christ. So don't become a priest, because many young people, when they see one with a beard and in black, like me, they're scared. So I'm sort of tricky. I'm a priest in jeans a little bit, as Father Sophroni said somehow. So because, forgive me, but if I say fuck, it's not for a priest to say such words, of course, you see. But when I say that sometimes, for the right moment, the young people can say, yes, he speaks our language. So it's what he maybe might have in mind, that and I'm doing that since 45 years. And I'm 81 years old, so maybe you can pray for me also, that I can hold some years longer, and I'm happy if you pray for me also, to be a model. In the end, we are all models, that's all. In all my weakness, in all my misbehaviors, whatever, but I love you. That's all.